Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is another live broadcast of MattTv, Facebook Live tonight from New York, New York. Who would have thunk? This guy right here. We got There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in the show tonight. We are in the Hotel Pennsylvania. We are literally, 5-10 minutes from Times Square. We're in a motel room here with two of my favorite girls. I have my amazing daughter Kai Moonis here, and my sister Jill, her daughter Anna. We're all chilling out here in New York City. We're just here for the day. We rolled into New York about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Hello guys, how you doing? Rolled into New York City about 1 o'clock this afternoon, checked into the hotel. Went and did some sightseeing, and I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of the pictures that I've put up down at Times Square, meeting the Naked Cowboy in front of the NBC studios. This trip has been unbelievable. It's really hard to put into words what has happened since Moon and I left Vancouver last Tuesday afternoon. So just an unbelievable time with friends and family, and I'm going to try and recap what's happened in the last 24 hours in my life. Dude, Don, dude, how you doing, my friend? I'm glad you're tuning in tonight. I just want to start off by saying that this morning, me and the girls were up bright and early this morning. We left the Red Roof Inn in Woburn, Massachusetts, which is just outside Boston. I had to say goodbye to my parents, my sister, my brother, cousins, aunts and uncles, Jill's friends. There were 24 people. 24 people came together this weekend to support my sister Jill, and I know people have seen the videos. It was just an unbelievable experience to see my sister running the Boston Marathon. And I don't know if Jeff, if you're watching this right now, but I will not cry tonight. Yes, I don't think there will be a female in the show tonight that will not approve of the picture of the Naked Cowboy, regardless of whether or not I was in it or not. He's the Naked Cowboy. He is a legend here in Times Square. So I was so glad to see him, and so glad to get my picture taken with him. That's probably one of the best pictures I've ever been involved in, because, like I said, this guy is a legend. DMFK, Dave Keenan, what's up, brother? You're just getting ready for work? I suppose 3-hour time difference, 5:30 back on the West Coast, 9:30 in the Atlantic provinces, 10 o'clock in Newfoundland. Mike Miller, how are you? So it's just me and the iPhone tonight, and again, we are dependent on the technology, the wireless technology that is being provided here at Hotel Pennsylvania. So hopefully the stream will continue. I'm not sure how long the show will go. Normally it's 60 minutes. And literally behind me, well, you can see the game on right now on the TV, but across the street, we are across the street from Madison Square Garden. So I'm hoping that's why I bumped the broadcast up a bit. I bumped the broadcast from 9 o'clock to 8:30. When 9:30 rolls around, the girls are just kind of chilling out in bed. We're going to get some rest, and then we're going to head back outside and go play in the city that never sleeps, New York City. William, how are you? Hey, brother Mike, what's going on, my friend? So yeah, Montreal Canadiens across the street playing the Rangers. Montreal leads that series 2-1. So I'm hoping that the Rangers win tonight, just because of the vibe that will be in the city. It'll either be a great vibe because they've tied the series, or it'll be a different vibe because they'll be down 3-1 in the series. And I can't, it's so amazing to be in New York City, and I'll explain some of the things that have happened in the day as we go along. So getting back to the goodbyes, said all my goodbyes this morning, and then my brother-in-law Dave, Jill's husband, drove us to the subway station. So very appreciative of Dave getting up early and driving us to the subway station. And Dave, you know you will be rewarded for that drive this morning. So thank you so much, Dave. Just a great weekend. Like I said, there were 24 family and friends in Boston to support Jill, and it was just, I'm glad that we were able to take so many photos and capture so many great moments. So William Linder's going for the Bruins. We got Susan cheering for the Leafs. I'm not a fan of, well, I'm a fan of the game. And I think there are 5 Canadian teams in the playoffs right now. So I will cheer for a Canadian team until the last Canadian team is standing. If the Montreal Canadiens go to the Cup, Edmonton goes to the Cup, Montreal goes to the Cup, I will be cheering for a Canadian team because that's how I roll. That's how I roll. So here it is, 8:30 in New York City. My sister Jill and her very good friend Emily are currently on a plane. They left Boston, Massachusetts. They had a 5 o'clock flight. So they are somewhere, they're probably closer to San Francisco. They're flying into San Francisco, catching a connecting flight or picking up more passengers, and then they are off to New Zealand. And I think Jill said it was a 13 to 15, maybe 16 hours on a plane getting into Auckland, New Zealand on Thursday. Of course, that is New Zealand time. So right now, Jill is flying high, literally, with Emily on her way to the World Masters Games. Can you imagine what's going through my sister's mind right now? Barely enough time to digest what happened yesterday, and here you are off to another world event. So proud of Jill, and I know her kids and Dave and mom and dad and siblings, everyone, and Carleton County in whole is really excited for Jill. But you're going to have to keep that excitement contained for like 2 weeks, because I think Jill said it would be May 5th or 6th before she rolls back into Carleton County. So I hope that just gives everyone there enough time to plan a homecoming for Jill. I really hope that Woodstock welcomes her with open arms when she returns from the World Masters Games. Imagine coming back from that with another medal. Just an unbelievable weekend for Jill. I'm so proud, so proud. So we left Boston this morning. We took an 8 o'clock. Now you have to. This is an amazing story, and I believe that if you have a certain look, if you have a certain vibe, people can read energy. And I've always been able to. People have always opened up to me and told me things that they might not tell anyone else, and that was the case this morning. We were at the Greyhound Depot, in Boston this morning, waiting to catch an 8 o'clock bus. And I struck up a conversation with one of the workers, not knowing at the time that he was going to be our bus driver, taking us from Boston to New York. And he asked us where we were going, and I told him we were obviously coming to New York and then heading back out to British Columbia. And I was telling him about taking a bus across the U.S. to see Jill in the race, and of course going back. And he was born and raised in New York. And he was saying, he was really hoping that we'd have a good time. But here's this bus driver. His name was Henry, and I don't know, you may have seen a picture of Henry and I this morning, just because once we get off the bus, once I heard his story, I had 5 hours to think about it on the bus, and I really wanted to get a picture of this individual so that you could put a face to the name and this story. So Henry, our bus driver, is a Vietnam vet. He's a Vietnam vet, and born and raised in New York. And he was telling me the story of 9/11, and this is his account. This is what happened 9/11 for Henry and, at the time, his 5-year-old son. Henry's 5-year-old son at the time was obsessed with 2 things: ships and tall buildings. And of the morning of 9/11, Henry is taking his 5-year-old son. Henry wants to take his son to the World Trade Center. His son wants to go to see the ships. So the 5-year-old son, it was his choice, and he wanted to see the ships. Shortly after that, comment was made and the destination was determined where they were going to go. His son said to his father, "Daddy, look at the plane." And his father didn't really pay attention to it, and his son said it again, "Daddy, look at the plane." And when Henry looked up, the first thing he said was, "Wow, that plane is really low." Henry watched the first plane fly into the first World Trade Center tower. He immediately was filled with anger. his heart sank. He picked up his son, and moments later he watched the second plane fly into the second World Trade Center tower. He immediately left the city, took his son home, and being a patriot, an outstanding American, he dropped his son off at the house and went back into the chaos, back into this horrific event that was unfolding in front of the eyes of the world. So his son, at 5 years old, and Henry being there, are experiencing 9/11 as it happens. A few years later, Henry moved to Boston, Massachusetts, where he has been for the last 5 years. In 2013, Henry was working for Greyhound during the Boston bombing. I don't think I have ever met, I can honestly say I have never met an individual, one single individual, who has experienced so much death and horrific events. If you were just to take away the 9/11 and the Boston bombing, this is a Vietnam vet. We know what happened in Vietnam. We can't even comprehend what Henry has been through. So for him to return back to America after serving in Vietnam, and then to witness 9/11, and then, hello Randy, and then to experience the Boston bombing was just an unbelievable. When he told me those stories this morning before I even get on the bus, it made the hair on my arm stand up. Just a tremendous individual, a super funny guy. He really made the trip on the bus enjoyable, as all the bus drivers did. Hello, Deanna. I hope you got your picture. The naked cowboy. Hello, Tammy. The naked cowboy. Got my picture taken with him. He signed a card and for you, and I'll be sending that home. I know it's not like being there, but I spoke with the naked cowboy. I got my picture taken with him, and what he signed, I will be sending home to you. So, good stuff. Hello, Marcus. So getting back to Henry, the bus driver, just a tremendous individual, and I knew that I wanted to get my picture taken with him because after telling the story, maybe people can go back and just have a look at Henry, just to put a face to the name. Yeah. Good stuff, eh? You know what, Deanna, I probably wouldn't have even known. I knew in the back of my mind about the naked cowboy, but you mentioning it to me last night and then seeing him today, I was like, there's no way I'm not going to get my picture taken with this guy. It was quite comical, actually. Our 2.5 hours out in Times Square was surreal. And everyone has seen Times Square in movies, TV shows over the years. Times Square is actually a lot smaller. Everything looks bigger on TV. That's why that expression exists, because everything looks bigger on TV. Times Square, it's big, but it's not overwhelming. It's really a bunch of TV screens, large TV screens on buildings. But being in Times Square today was just truly amazing. Anyway, that was my little story of Henry. And you can go back on my page and have a look at the picture. The moment I got off the bus, I asked Henry if I could get my picture taken with him, and it was no problem at all. So, just a couple, like the 5-hour bus ride here, all I did was take notes. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just looking at my notes and just relaying them to you. One thing I want to say about my time in Boston, and I mentioned this many times, is how clean the city of Boston was. So I thought it would be cool, Boston strong, Boston clean. It was a tremendous city. The hospitality in Boston was off the chart. On a scale of 1 to 10, the hospitality in Boston, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it an 11. Good stuff. I was just an unbelievable weekend. And we finished it last night. So we do the race, or Jill does the race. And we go get a bite to eat. And then we're all allowed into Fenway Park. So last night, 24 hours ago, I was sitting in the bleachers at Fenway Park. And when we first got there, when they opened the doors at 6:30, and the reason we were all allowed to get into Fenway Park, it was a post-race party, but you could only purchase tickets at the expo, which Jill did on Sunday. So everyone, all 24 of us, minus a couple people, all went to Fenway Park, and we were actually allowed to get down on the field. Jeff and I were up to our usual shenanigans out by the Green Monster, but we were allowed to walk around the whole field, and I may never in my lifetime get a chance to stand on the playing field of Fenway Park. It was surreal. That was really the word of the weekend. A lot of my relatives were using that same word. There were so many moments where you just almost stunned at what was happening. The vibe in the city was electric. The weather has been absolutely phenomenal. From the time Moon and I left Vancouver last Tuesday, I have not seen more than half a dozen raindrops. And I know that's getting real technical. I've probably seen more than that, but there's been no rain. It's just the weather, the nice weather has been following us from one coast to the other, and it's just kind of hanging out with us. The weather in New York today, unbelievable. The weather this morning leaving Boston was phenomenal. This trip has been flawless. And people who know me will understand why this trip has been flawless. It's because that's how I think. I believe that when I go out and do something, thoughts become things. So I don't put that vibe out there that things are going to go wrong. Things are going to be great, and things have been great. So, talked about that. A couple of things. I want to mention this right now before I forget. Like I said, I've made a lot of notes today, and I'm just kind of looking at my notebook, looking at the hockey game that's on the TV behind me. But after the show is over, we are going outside across the street to Madison Square Garden. How cool is that? I'm so excited. We did some shows. Anyone who has followed me and watches MattTv knows that I did some shows from Boston, Massachusetts, from the hotel room we were in. I had an amazing co-host, my brother Jeff, and we did a show on Saturday night, we did a show Sunday night, and we did a quick show last night just to kind of wrap things up with Jill. And out of those 3 videos, they have generated over 2,500 views. And I am just so grateful and so thankful that people are tuning in. A lot of people are tuning in live. A lot of people are sharing the video. And I know a couple of contributing factors to that number is the fact that my brother Jeff was co-hosting, and Jeff has hundreds and hundreds of friends who follow his shenanigans. So they were all aware that he was going to be on the show. So thankful for Jeff for spreading the word and getting his friends involved. And of course, the content of the show was the Boston Marathon and Jill, which was the entire reason why we were all there. So a big shout out to my brother Jeff, who I didn't know was going to be there. Total surprise when I got there on Saturday. So thank you so much, Jeff. I already miss you. You were a tremendous co-host, probably the best co-host I've ever had. Of course, you're the only co-host I've ever had. And Jill, so thankful to Jill. I know Jill, and we talked about this a lot. Jill likes to fly under the radar, but I'm so thankful that she came in. She was in Sunday night. She was in Sunday night to talk about the race before the race, and then she was on last night. I think the show maybe went 15, 20 minutes just to talk about her experience at during the race. So if you want to see, if you haven't seen it already, if you haven't seen that video already, it's on my Facebook page. It's great stuff. Like I said, Jeff and I had a blast co-hosting. We it's almost, I don't know. Obviously, we're brothers, right? And the chemistry was there. We've always been a couple fools when we get together. So I love you, Jeff. Miss you already. And thanks for co-hosting MattTv. And Jill, I know you're in the air. I know you're not watching this live, but I know when you get down on the ground, you may not even check Facebook out until you're home in a couple of weeks because you got too much going on. Too much going on. I also want to give a shout out to all the security at the Boston Marathon. Security was tight. They did it right. They did it right in Boston. They did the research, and there was never a concern. My safety was never in jeopardy at all. And I think I can say that for all the hundreds of thousands of people that were in Boston over the weekend. And after the race, after Jill went by, she had to finish the race, of course. And then we didn't, and then Emily went and got her and brought her back to where we were. So that was probably a good 45 minutes to an hour after Jill went by that she came back. And in the meantime, there were some very large men, FBI, SWAT, just huge men, but smiles on their face. They're there for a serious task. But if you go up and say hi to them and shake their hand, get your picture taken with them, they're just so down to earth, but a very serious role for those individuals. So a big shout out to the security, the FBI, and all the organizers. I want to say there was close to 10,000 organizers, not organizers, but volunteers. I'm sure the number of organizers was quite high as well. So a big shout out to all the security, FBI, and all the volunteers that made the Boston Marathon, the 121st Boston Marathon, run like a well-oiled machine. Normally, it's me that's having trouble with the internet, but no problems right now. Carolyn, you can watch this. When this show is done, I'll post it up on my Facebook, and you can watch it at your convenience. Hello, Colleen. How are you? Congratulations to your cousin on her excellent time. And I'm so glad that there were so many people yesterday that were tracking Jill on their computer. They were watching it on TV. The support for Jill yesterday was it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. So yeah, hospitality in Boston gets an 11 out of 10. 11 out of 10. More shout outs. Like I don't think this show is going to go 60 minutes by any means, because I'm just pulling out some thoughts and some notes that I made on the bus trip down here. So whenever the show is done, the show is done. Like I said, we're downtown New York. We are literally a 10-minute walk from Times Square. I don't know if you saw the pictures from earlier today. I was at the Tonight Show studios, NBC studios. It was just, I don't know how many times today I was just, I can believe I'm here, because I have been working on this weekend for weeks and weeks and weeks, literally working to get to this point. This trip was not free, so there was a lot of extra work that had to go into it, a lot of planning, and so far so good. We're at the Hotel Pennsylvania. We're across the street from Madison Square Garden. We don't get on a bus until tomorrow afternoon at 5, so I think we're going to get up early tomorrow morning. We'll check out early, store our bags, and I think we're going to hop on a subway and go down to Ground Zero, because I don't think you can come to New York without going to Ground Zero, and that will be I'm not even going to speculate the feelings that will be drummed up when the three of us go to Ground Zero, the site where it was an event that changed the world. An event that changed the world. We're going to go there tomorrow. We'll have some videos. I also took some videos from last night at Fenway Park, some great pictures. I just haven't had time to upload those to my Facebook page, just because I've been doing everything on my phone, and I had to delete everything. All my memories, all the videos are captured on a chip. So when I get back to the West Coast, I'll definitely be putting up some more videos. Yeah, it seems people are saying that the video is in and out. I don't have any problems with my feed here. Normally I know when there's a problem because the screen tells me that it's trying to reconnect. I haven't had that yet, so sorry about the technical difficulties on the other end. It's totally out of my hands. I'm more amazed that I haven't had any problems yet. So like I said, if you're able to watch live, greatly appreciated, but I will be posting this up afterwards, and you can watch it at your leisures and post comments when you like. I want to give a shout out to some people back in New Brunswick, and these are people that are in the media. I want to give a shout out to Jim Dunville. I went to school with Jim, and I want to say he is still a writer at the Bugle. And I know Jim has been following Jill and her journey. I want to give a shout out to Rebecca Howland. I've never met Rebecca, but I know that she has used some footage and pictures that I took from yesterday. And I just want to say right now, any pictures, any videos that I put up on my website, they are free to use. Whatever you want to do with the pictures, whatever you want to do with photos from Boston, videos from Boston, please use those at your, whatever you want to do with those videos. You have my permission. So I know Rebecca is working on a story. Rebecca Howland is working on a story for Jill. So she has my okay for that. I also want to give a shout out to Terry and Jennifer at CJ104. I saw their video link this morning with one of the news anchors from CTV. They gave a shout out to Jill. So very appreciative to Terry and Jen for doing that. I want to say Mark Nicholson has a hand. I know, Mark, you're in here right now. And send me a message, because I know you and Jennifer are doing something about cooking, and I'm really interested in that. So if you can send me a link or send me a message, that would be great, and we'll go from there. But so yeah, a big shout out to Rebecca, Jim, Terry, Jen, and I'm just going to throw Mark in there as well because I like Mark. He's cool. So yeah, the Carleton County has just been going off the chain. It is just so amazing, and I feel bad that I trekked from Vancouver to Boston, and I'm 16 hours away. I'm 16 hours away from home, and I'm not coming home. But I will try and get home sometime this year. I never rule out when I'm coming home. New Brunswick, Woodstock will always be home, and any chance I get to come back, I will definitely be on that. So like I said, shout outs to Jim, Rebecca, Terry, Jen, and Mark. The coverage that you have provided for Jill. Like I said, this show is all about shining a spotlight on people. It doesn't have to be one person. It can be a group of individuals. So if there are individuals out there, if there are organizations out there that you want people to become more aware of, if you want to lift them up, do it right here. You can post right here, copy and paste links on this page, and let it be known that there are people out there that are worthy and deserve to be recognized. Did that. Oh, I just want to say, there were so many videos of Jill racing yesterday. And what the amazing thing was, Randy Johnston's wife was tracking her. My Aunt Louise, back in New Brunswick, in St. John, was also tracking her. So my Aunt Louise was texting my Aunt Deanna and my Aunt Linda. And we knew exactly where Jill was. And Jill knew the general vicinity that we were going to be, because this location is where all the fans and supporters have stood for years when Randy Johnson ran. So everyone was familiar with this stretch of marathon route, which is really close to the 25-mile mark. So we were waiting in this location for 3 hours. But when we knew Jill was less than a mile away, we were so focused. We were all looking for the black shirt and the white hat. But there were a lot of runners with black shirts and white hat. I think, with my excellent vision, that I was... It wasn't it, William? Wasn't it? It was just... I think I was the first one to pick her out of the crowd as she was running towards. We knew that she would be running to the left, so she was kind of separated by maybe 10, 20 feet from the other runners. So I'm hooping and hollering. I got my blue headband on, and everyone's hollering. My brother Jeff is whistling. I recorded, I think, from the time I started recording, to the time she went by and gave everyone high fives, which was unbelievable. I will never, ever tire of seeing that footage. From the time I started recording, she went by and I zoomed in as much as I could. The video I took was probably 35 seconds. That 35 seconds in time was the entire reason why I spent 90 hours on a bus. And I'll spend 90 hours going home. I would spend 2 weeks on a bus. I would spend 2 weeks on a bus to see my sister do something so amazing. It was just, I'm so glad I was there. So glad I was there. And I was so glad that my cousin Amanda was Facebook living it so that my brother Mike could see it while he was working in Fort McMurray. There is, sorry. There's no other family that I would have wanted to be born into. I'm so glad that my last name is Grant. I truly am. My family, we are a tight knit group. We're loving, we're caring, and we're pretty funny actually. My Aunt Deanna, my Aunt Linda, my Uncle Brian, my dad, Una, all we did all weekend was laugh. We were all thrown together. All thrown together. Well, I'm not sorry for loving my family. Just sorry for the tears, brother. I know. People know now that I get the blah 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 from Dad and from my mother. We all know that. It's all good, Tom, my friend. They're tears of joy. Trust me, tears of joy. But yeah, my point of view to see Jill was. I'll never forget those 35 seconds. And I know she'll never forget those 35 seconds. It was just the whole day, all the runners, seeing all the Canadian runners go by. David Aldward was there, seeing the military personnel running, seeing people in wheelchairs being pushed, people in wheelchairs, just wheeling this Boston Marathon. It was just so overwhelming. The runners going by at the 25-mile mark were hooping and hollering, getting the spectators hooping and hollering and cheering. It was just the vibe in the city, man. I can only compare it. I can only compare it to the Olympics in 2010, which is what I was a part of. So you take that 2-week Olympic period and you squeeze it into a day, and the energy was exactly the same. Exactly the same. Just an unbelievable day in Boston, Massachusetts. But this show tonight, MattTv, is live tonight here on Facebook Live we're in Times Square, baby. We are downtown New York. We are a 10-minute walk, 5-minute walk, depends on what your speed is, from Times Square. Madison Square Garden is across the street, where third period just started, and it's 2-1 Rangers. Rangers need to win tonight, or they will be going down 3-1 in the series. So once this show is finished, me and the two girls will be going outside to check out some New York nightlife. Michelle Nowlin. I don't know if Michelle Nowlin is in here. I made a comment last night on the show where Jill and I kind of had a laugh last night. We were walking out of Fenway Park, and I said to her, tomorrow night at this time, I'll be in New York City, and you'll be on a plane heading to New Zealand, and everyone else is going back to Woodstock. And we're like, wah, wah. And then Michelle Nowlin made a comment saying, oh, Matt, you know that you miss us. And I do. I miss Michelle. I miss all my friends and family back in Carleton County. And getting back to what I said earlier, when I can get home, I will definitely be home. I don't know what time we have here, but I'm in New York City, and I don't want to spend the rest of the night in the motel room. I want to go out and check out the nightlife. I got my daughter here and my niece. They both actually look quite comfy in bed, but I think we're going to head back out into Times Square just to experience New York City at night. That's what you do when you're here. But I want to give a shout out. I met a couple of artists in Times Square. This individual's name here is Wizzo Crack. So I got his CD. And there was another individual. His name is, what is his name? Cheapskates? Anyway, he gave me the name of M Gangsta. So to that guy, I'm M Gangsta. And it was funny when I was here, there have been a couple of times where individuals thought that Kaya was my sister. And then when I told them that she was my daughter and that I was 44 years old, they seemed a little stunned on that. One guy thought I looked like I could do kung fu. Another guy thought I was doing yoga. You know what? I completely forgot about the product plug tonight. My bad. Yeah, no, the product plug, I just ate it. I just got around to eating it tonight, so no, I completely forgot about the product plug. I was going to start off with a good bit. I wanted to find some game show or a talk show theme and start off by saying, live from New York, one night only, MattTv. See, that actually sounds pretty good. That actually sounds pretty good. But I'm glad you're in here, Ton. I'm glad you're hanging out, enjoying the show. I don't know if Wayne Mason is in here. He was chatting to me earlier. He might be getting ready. I think he's probably watching the hockey game. Yeah, it was the Twix from last night. Yeah, this is probably the first time that I haven't had a product plug. But, I started doing MattTv. Wayne, you would probably know more than me. I want to say this is April. I think all of March. I think it was maybe towards the end of February, March, April. But the reason I started doing MattTv was because I knew I was coming to Boston. And I wanted to do videos. And I wanted to be comfortable in front of the camera. So that's why I gave myself a month ahead of time to get comfortable, try and streamline my show, make it my own. And I'm so thankful I have a lot of faithful nightly viewers, and for that I am so grateful. So thank you. I'm just going off my page of some of the notes that I've made. That's what I was going to say. We have just gone through an Easter weekend, and for me it was an Easter weekend that I will never forget. I've been out west for 17 years, and I think this was my first Easter with my family from back in New Brunswick in 17 years, which was great. But I know there are people in the audience who have lost loved ones within the last few days, the last few weeks. So there are people out there who, as a family, are experiencing holidays for the first time without a loved one, whether it be your grandfather, your grandmother. You know who you are. I think I'm just going to say Sarah Sampson. I know that her grandfather passed away recently, and I've been thinking a lot about that family, putting healing vibes out there, loving vibes. And I'm sure that this weekend was probably a tough one for that family. Their first Easter without their grandfather, without their husband, brother. So healing vibes for Sarah Sampson and her family. I have been thinking about you, and I know this weekend was probably a tough weekend for you. And if there's anyone out there who is grieving right now due to the loss of a loved one in the family, a pet, if you're grieving right now, know that I am sending healing vibes your way, and hopefully everyone watching the show right now, collectively we can get together and just send some healing vibes to those that need it most. Yes, you're right, Michelle. It's those first. There's going to be a first for everything. Holidays, birthdays are going to roll along, and these families are going to be celebrating those moments without individuals who have been there all their life. So it is a big adjustment. And again, my thoughts and prayers go out to those who are having a tough time this weekend. It's going from one extreme to the other. I was with my family, ecstatic at all the fun that I was having. But on the other end, I never forget those that are at the other end of the spectrum and are grieving because their loved ones are not there. So healing vibes out to Sarah and her family. Definitely thinking of you guys. Is there anything else that I want to mention before I move along? There is going to be way more pictures and video. I just had so much fun today. I know people probably saw the video of me in Times Square. It's called I Can Believe. And if you haven't seen the video, this is the general message. And if people would use this message and think this way, the world would be a better place. If I can tell people two things, if there are two words that I could encourage individuals to delete from their vocabulary, it would be can't and want. If you want something, that is what you will get. You will always want something. So change the want to will. So instead of me saying, I want to go to Boston, I want to go to New York. I want. I don't use that word. I will. I will go to Boston. I will go to New York. It's simple. It's just a few letters that need to be changed. They both start with W, but they have completely different meanings. Get rid of the want, replace it with will, and just sit back and see the change. Thoughts become things. The word can't, cannot. Get rid of the not. The not, it serves no purpose. That's what when I made that video earlier. I said some people will say, I can't believe I'm standing here. You got to change it. You got to get rid of the T. I can believe I'm standing in Times Square, because that's what I told myself I was going to do months ago when my sister told me that she was running in the Boston Marathon. I think the next phrase out of my mouth was, I'm going to be there. I'm not going to miss that for the world. So just change your vocabulary. Get rid of two words and replace them with two more. Get rid of the want. If you want something, that's all you're going to get. I want more money. I want more happiness. I want. That's all you're going to get. I will. I will do this. I will do that. That's why when I took that picture down at the NBC studios, and I think I said something along the lines of future place of employment, there was no question mark there. That was a simple statement, because I am my own hurdle. People set their own hurdles. We create obstacles for ourselves. People need to realize that the only person stopping you from doing what you will do is you. It's that simple. It really is. You just have to change the way you think. Do some reading. Do some research. Find those inspirational stories of individuals who have done just that. Don't want anymore. Don't want anymore. Will it. Will it. Put that vibe out there. Put it on your universal wish list. That's all you have to do. Put it out into the universe. You don't have to worry about how it's going to happen. The universe doesn't work like that. You just put it out there, meditate on it, let it go, and eventually it all comes together. And when you realize that thoughts become things, and that you have the ability to manifest whatever you want. Sometimes that manifestation might take, for me, sometimes it's taken hours, sometimes days, weeks. But when it does happen, you realize it works, and then you just have to continue to do it. You just have to continue. It's fun. It's a universal wish list. And I'm so glad you tuned in tonight. This will be posted up on my Facebook page when the show is over, and you can watch it at your leisure. When you get back out on the West Coast, I'm going to assume you are in Quebec right now during tax season. But when you're back on the West Coast, let me know. I'd love to have you and John over to the house. Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. Hello, Teresa. I started a segment here. I think I've only done it once. It was called my awe moment, like aw. It was my awe moment. Well, I had one of those awe moments today, but it had nothing to do with me. As we were on the bus, we had a 5-hour bus ride, and I've had 4 hours sleep. I didn't get to bed last night until about 12:30. I was up at 4:45, so I could get on a bus to here. So my eyeballs are sore just because of just sleep deprivation. But on the bus down today, I'm just staring out the window, looking at all these things, and I saw a fish in the clutches of this massive bird. And that I was like, aw, that was my awe moment. Was that fish that was going to be this bird's dinner. The bird's flying, the fish is floundering, and I'm like, that's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's got that whole body of water, and he gets picked out by a bird. That's just bad timing. It's Circle of Life, I do believe it's called, the Circle of Life. Hello, Derek. Hello, Kimberly. How are you? I'm just going to say a couple more things. Then I'm going to wrap it up because I want to get outside. This hockey game there's 10 minutes left in the hockey game that is happening right across the street. And for those that are just tuning in, I am live here in New York City. We are a few blocks from Times Square. It's just been a surreal trip so far, and we'll be hopping on a bus from New York, heading back out to Vancouver, British Columbia. We'll be getting on a bus tomorrow afternoon at 5. I know it sounds crazy. I don't know what's more crazy, the fact that I am coming across the States and then going back, or that my daughter and now my niece are going to be joining me. Well, my niece is going to be joining us on the way back, so it'll be unbelievable trip. And I just love when Anna and Kaya are together. I just the laughter and the conversations they have, it just makes my heart warm. So I'm so glad that Anna is going to be joining us on the bus and hanging out with us in White Rock, British Columbia for a few days and then heading back. So very cool. I'm just I couldn't be more proud and more happy right now to be in New York with my daughter and my niece. It's just been an unbelievable experience. When you were 15, you drove to New York instead of what? You drove to New York instead of PEI when you were 15. I can imagine why your mom would be upset. How did you go from, you're supposed to go to PEI, and how did you end up in New York? That would be an amazing story. I wouldn't even pull that with my parents. Was that your rebellious stage? I don't see you, you didn't seem like the rebellious type, but that's 15 years old. You drove or you went with a friend? Because if you're 15 and you're driving on the interstate heading to New York, that's amazing. That's some good stuff, because there's a lot of, at 15 years, wow, good on you. I can understand why your mom would be so mad. I'm sure she was a little bit more than so mad. Montreal. You know what? I'd love to get to Montreal. I'm going to say you're probably watching the game right now, Eric. It's like 10 minutes left. We're across the street from Madison Square Garden, and we're going to be rolling out into the street here after the game just to see what the vibe is like. So I'm kind of hoping. I do want to see Montreal win. I know they're up 2-1 in the series right now. It would be great for them to win tonight. But I'd also like to see New York win tonight, just because it would be a great atmosphere here in. Hello, Two Fried. What's going on, brother? It'd be a great vibe here in the city. But my experience from leaving Vancouver last Tuesday, my trip across the U.S., doing some MattTv at different locations, videos and whatnot. I'm so thankful for all the views, all the comments. It helps me to keep things going and hopefully making the show a little bit bigger and better. So right now I got 20 views, which I'm so grateful for. And going back to the videos that I made this weekend, the show that I did with Jeff Saturday and Sunday. Sunday night we had my sister Jill in talking about the race before the race, and then she came on last night after the race. We were all super tired, but those 3 videos have generated over 2,500 views. And out of all the MattTv shows that I've done, those 3 videos have generated the most views, the most comments. And I know 2 of the big contributing factors to that is the fact that my brother Jeff was co-hosting with me. A lot of people out there support Jeff and what he's doing, so it was fun to have him and all his shenanigans. So I'm very thankful for Jeff for spreading the word and sharing what I'm doing on his page and having his friends join MattTv. And of course, the content of the show was the Boston Marathon and Jill. So a lot of people tuned in, and the the outpouring of love and support for Jill has just been incredible. Not shocking, not surprising, but just I know Jill was overwhelmed, and she really hasn't had a chance to digest the Boston Marathon. And here she is sitting on a plane, getting pretty close to touching down into San Francisco, and then on her way to New Zealand. Oh, Mike, you're flying out tonight. Good stuff, man. I'm glad that you're going to be getting home to Tanya and the kids. That's awesome, good stuff. You at the airport now? Good. I'm glad that you're, man, Mike. I really wish you had been here, man. That injury couldn't have come at a worse time. Really could not have come at a worse time. But I hope you enjoyed the videos. I know the videos and the pictures don't do being here live justice, but I'm interested to when Amanda was Facebooking live, when she went live on Facebook, when Jill was coming across the finish line. Were you? I just want to know, were you actually watching it live? Because I know they had a camera at the finish line, but they're not going to show every runner coming across the finish line. So I'm hoping that you had a chance to watch that live. And from what Amanda was telling me, she was streaming it live when it happened. So that was an unbelievable 35 seconds. There have been events in my life that rank up there with just amazing. Going to Nepal, getting married to Jen, the birth of Kaya, the Olympics, and Jill. They're all right up there. Like, this weekend is going to be really, really hard to top. Really hard to top. It has just been, and we're not done. We still, we got tomorrow here in New York City, and then the three of us are getting on a Greyhound bus tomorrow afternoon at 5, and we'll make our way back across the USA, getting into Vancouver early Sunday morning. So. But the good thing about a Greyhound bus is you get to sleep. There's nothing else to do in a bus, so you can catch up on your sleep if you have a neck pillow and a passenger beside you that doesn't snore. Which this morning on the bus, I was sitting on the window seat, so I had a young lady sitting beside me, and she fell asleep. And what do you do if you're sitting on a bus? You have to use the washroom, because my bladder is the size of a teacup. And I had to use the washroom, but I didn't want to wake her up. She looked because I know how hard it is to fall asleep on a bus, and she fell asleep just like that. So I didn't want to wake her up. I don't know if it was a Grant thing, if it was a Canadian thing, but I didn't want to climb over her, and I didn't want to wake her up. So I just held it. And the sensation of having to go urinate disappeared. I know that was way too much information. Way too much. I don't know if I asked anyone what was the coolest thing your sibling has ever accomplished. As you know, for me, it was yesterday, watching my sister run in the Boston Marathon. For my brother Jeff, his artwork is just it's taking off. And if you like Jeff's artwork, it is totally expanding. He's painting on a new canvas, and so I carry a teacup. That's what I could do, yeah, or a milk jug or something. But I know I was just too polite to. I didn't want to wake this lady up to go use the washroom. I survived, but the bus drive was a 5-hour bus ride, a beautiful bus ride. A lot of construction this time of year, a lot of construction. But one of the coolest things was, driving into New York. You see the New York skyline. What was another cool thing? Going across the bridge, the Connecticut-New York border is actually on a bridge. As we were crossing this bridge, there was a sign on the bridge that said Connecticut, New York. So we crossed a state line over a bridge on the interstate. I think it's Interstate 95 or something. So, like I said, I had 5 hours just to take notes, and this is what this show is about here. These are just some of the notes that I've picked out of my brain and written down. So I'm just going to wrap things up. I want to give a shout out to all the friends and family that were there yesterday, everyone that took videos and pictures, and I know there's still hundreds and hundreds of videos that haven't been uploaded yet because people just haven't had time to do that. So I know my mother, when she gets home, she'll be working on some pictures. Rebecca, we'll be working on some pictures. But I hope that we were able to bring you as close to the action as we possibly could with the pictures, the video. For me, it was a very surreal weekend, especially getting in there to, no, not Maine and New Hampshire. It was the Connecticut. We were leaving Connecticut going into New York. That was the border that we, Susan, you're at my house. Awesome. No, Mom, it was the going across the bridge. We were leaving Connecticut going into New York, but that division line was right on a bridge, which was really cool. And a lot of garbage. There is so much garbage along the interstate, and especially under some of the bigger bridges here in New York. It's disgusting. What is wrong? I don't understand what is wrong with the human race. Littering, I've never understood why someone, whether it be a candy wrapper or a truckload of garbage, why they would just feel the need just to dump it for someone else to clean up. Sirens and honking vehicles. Those are the two sounds that I will remember from New York. Lots of fire trucks, lots of sirens. This is the city that never sleeps. Car horns. I've never been in an area where cars honk at other vehicles they just honk for something to do. It's quite incredible, actually. Quite incredible. The New York City, I've fallen in love with New York City, and I've only been here since 1 o'clock this afternoon. It is tremendous. Boston strong, Boston clean. It was a tremendous weekend. You know that comment, everyone can read that, right? And I don't think that's possible because I brought all my underwear with me. I think I brought all my clothes with me. All my clothes are here. It does make me appreciate Woodstock, and I was just telling Anna here not too long ago, her experience in Boston and now being in New York. Anna probably took 300 pictures here this afternoon. So I think it'll be more difficult for Anna to go back to Woodstock, a population of 5,000 people, where you're in New York City and Boston. It's just been, but for me, I get to go back to another large metropolitan area of Vancouver. So I've adjusted, but just the hospitality, the positive vibe in both cities has been tremendous, and it will be a weekend that won't soon be forgotten. More shout outs again to our bus driver, Henry. If you want to know more about Henry and his story, just go back and watch the beginning of the show. He has an amazing story. I had to get my picture taken with that guy. Shout outs to my brother Jeff, co-hosting MattTv the last few days. My sister Jill, of course, just an amazing individual, and I'm so proud to call her my sister. She is just an inspiration. I'm so proud of her, and I really hope she has an excellent time in Auckland, New Zealand, which I'm sure she will. How could you not? Also a shout out to Jim Dunville, Rebecca Howland, Terry and Jen at CJ104, Rainey Kluke, who was the sports guy at WAGM. He's been there forever. I know he did a story on Jill before she left. I hope he does an update on Jill when she gets back. So, and Mark Nicholson. So anyone that is helping promote Jill's trip by putting it up on their Facebook page, sharing some of the videos and pictures that we have put up, so grateful. Jill definitely deserves her time in the spotlight. She has done so much for the community of Woodstock, and I wish I could be there when she returned home. And I would love a group of individuals to meet Jill at the airport. I'm sure she's probably flying into Fredericton, St. John, Moncton. I'm not sure where, but I think it would be great if a bunch of people got together and went and greeted Jill at the airport. That's my request. That's my request for friends and family back home. Make that happen. Don't want it to happen. You have to will it to happen. And if you will it to happen, then you have to be a part of it, right? You have to be a part of the solution. So just put that out there. You got a couple of weeks to think about it. Jill will not be back in Carleton County until probably May 5 or 6. So let's make that happen back there. All the friends and family, let's get some people together. Let's make sure Jill doesn't arrive back at the airport and is not met by anyone. So I'll leave that up to you. Definitely leave that up to you. A big shout out to my brother-in-law Dave for getting us to the subway on time this morning. You will be rewarded. Talk to my mother about that. She'll probably cook you up some great meals. Nick, how are you? So I'm just gonna wrap things up. I'm gonna get the girls outside. We're gonna go back out and experience some New York nightlife, and definitely going to hop on the subway tomorrow and go to Ground Zero. If anyone has ever been to New York and has been to Ground Zero, I would love to know what feelings swept over you, because that's where I'll be going tomorrow. I'm such an emotional individual. I've almost cried half a dozen times here tonight, just thinking about different things. So I can't even begin to imagine how I'll feel tomorrow when we get down to Ground Zero, and we all know what that is. So we're going to check that out tomorrow. We're going to squeeze a few more things in tonight, squeeze a few more things in tomorrow before we hop on a bus tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock and begin our journey back out to the west coast of this beautiful, beautiful continent of North America. So if there's any comments, if anyone wants to say anything as I wrap up, you can do that. Thank you for all the live views, all the comments, greatly appreciated. And I know Jill appreciates all the comments as well. I don't often get a chance to read the comments as the show goes along, but I do watch the show after, and you know that if I click like on your comment, you know that I'm watching the show back, and I certainly appreciate all the positive feedback, because that's what keeps me going. I thrive on positive energy. I try to keep the show positive. I try and deliver positive energy every night, and I hope that you can feel and receive that on the other end through the technology, which is Facebook Live. So I'm going to wrap it up, and not sure exactly when I will do another Facebook Live. I will be taking videos as the trek goes along. If we get we have some stops in some really great cities, and if the Wi-Fi is there, if I'm able to connect to the internet, I will definitely do so. I'll keep you updated on how our journey is going back out west. 3 minutes left in the third period, and it's still 2-1 Rangers. So I'm going to skip on out of here, and I'm going to go across the street to Madison Square Garden and watch people spill out here. We actually have a view of Macy's in New York, where they have the Macy's Day Parade. That's the view out this window is of Macy's. It's a surreal experience here in New York City, and I'm so glad to be here with my amazing daughter Kaya Moon and my niece Anna, and we are just having the time of our life. So, again, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the views. Wayne Mason, I love you, man. You got a shirt on the way, pins on the way. We will be making more pins. William Linder, I know you want a pin. I'm going to in the very near future, I do want to send more pins home. But that's really up to my wife Jen, because she is making the pins, and it's quite a process to make. But t-shirts, Wayne, you got a t-shirt and a couple of pins. Tammy, you were in here earlier. Tammy and Scott, you got a couple pins coming back your way. So, but aside from the material stuff, the way you can help this show out is just like it. Tune in when you can. You don't necessarily have to be live. You don't have to come in and, I don't expect people to set aside 60 minutes out of every night to watch me live. If you can, that's awesome. If you can watch it later, it's awesome as well. It doesn't matter. But please give me some feedback. If there's things that you want to see added to the show or things taken out of the show, let me know. And, I'm a pretty easy guy to get along with. Yeah, Tammy, I was just saying that your pins are on the way. And I will make sure that they get to the Civic Center. Because you were saying that you go there quite often, so I'll make sure that stuff gets to the Civic Center. Maybe I'll wait until Jill gets back, because I think it would be your opportunity to see Jill. She'll need a week off when she gets back just to get rested. Just a roller coaster of emotions for Jill, and I'm so proud of her, like I've said. So anyway, yeah, I'm definitely going to enjoy my night. The two girls here, they've been kind of chilling out. I don't know how they slept with the loudness that's been going on in this room, but I'm going to get them up. We're going to go grab a bite to eat. We're going to go check out Times Square on Tuesday night, the 18th of April, 2017. Just a surreal, epic, amazing, awesome, and just any other adjective that's positive can describe this weekend, you can throw it in there, man. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. This is going to be a really hard weekend to top. But the weird thing is, doing all these MattTVs on the road across the country, it's going to be kind of depressing to go back to my garage in White Rock. I was thinking about that today, man. I've been having so much fun doing shows from Boston to New York and Salt Lake City and all these other locations across the U.S. And next week I'll be back in my garage in White Rock. But I can't wait to get home. Jen, if you're watching, I love you. I miss you so much. I can't wait to see you. Have a great night with Susan. Have a great night, everyone. Seriously, have a great night. I hope you had a tremendous Easter weekend with family. And again, going back to what I said earlier, there are people out there who had an Easter weekend without loved ones for the first time. A huge adjustment. Heavy hearts this Easter for a lot of people. And Sarah, I'm thinking of you. So a lot of love, a lot of healing, a lot of positive energy heading out to Sarah and her family. And to anyone else that is grieving this time of, if you're grieving for anything, know that myself and the world collectively are healing you. I love you so much. Thanks for tuning in. This is MattTV. We are live. We're Facebook Live from New York City. I'll never say that again. Actually, no. I'm not going to say that. Because I hung outside the NBC studios today, and I was there for a reason. I went to NBC today for a reason. I'm putting it out there. I'm in the entertainment. I'm in the entertainment business. I love to entertain, and I am an entertainer. And I appreciate all the support, all the feedback that I've been getting. I'm having a lot of fun, and I hope you can see the fun that I'm having. So much love. Have a great... Tomorrow's going to be Wednesday. Have a great Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your hump day. I'll try and do more MattTV on the road. Like I said, it's all dependent on the technology. If I get a wireless connection, I'll definitely be filling you in on my adventures as we trek across the United States for a second time. Another 90 hours on a bus begins tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock. So much love. Have a great Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you see and hear, share it. Leave comments. Let me know if I'm in the right direction, if I'm doing the right thing, if there are things that you want me to do differently, things you want me to add, if there are people you want me to talk about, shine a light on. Let me know. That's all you have to do. Let me know. Okay, Mom, I don't know if you're still watching. Love you. So good to see you this weekend. Give everyone a hug and a kiss. I hope Ranger didn't wreck the kennel. And we'll talk to everyone later. Have a great night from New York City. This is MattTV, Facebook Live. Bye-bye.